I'd like to welcome you to the regular council meeting of District of Summerland for March 29th. Call the meeting to order. We have adoption of the minutes, please, from March 14th, and the special meeting and the regular council meeting, please. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. The motion's carried. Resolution to adopt the agenda. Corporate Officer, we got some late items to add.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have two. The first late item is a request for funding from the firefighters for funding to go into a Canadian curling championship. And
Second one is the budget meeting.
yeah, I'm just trying to think of where we should put that one. Pardon me. We could add that to. Could we add it to new business, item 13.1, please? And then the second item came from the COW meeting this morning. A special budget meeting is going to be held on Thursday, March the 31st. So we need a recommendation to have
I can
that.
also just go to new business.
Under new business, item 13.2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please. Councillor Carlson, Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried. Okay, now we're moving into public and statutory hearings. 4.1. Just move straight into it.
Yes, we'll, public hearing.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. So you're going to want to introduce the public
Okay.
hearing.
4.1 is introducing the proposed zoning amendment bylaw 21605, free carriage houses. And this public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. During this public hearing, anyone who believes his or her interest is affected by the proposed development will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaws that are the subject of this meeting. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the subject bylaws have been made available to the public. Council may ask questions of staff and public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place when the bylaw is considered after the conclusion of the public hearing. At that time, any questions of the staff will be for clarification purposes only. I will be inviting the public to come forward and present their comments. Speakers are asked to state their name and address for the record. Speakers are encouraged to limit their remarks to 5 minutes and should include all of the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded for all persons to speak a second or third time once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. I'd like to ask the Development Services Officer for an explanation of the item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a zoning bylaw amendment to change the regulations in the zoning bylaw to increase the size, allowable size of carriage houses on lots over 1,000 square meters from 60 square meters, which is about 645 square feet, up to 90 square meters, which is the building code maximum, and that's 968 square feet.
Pardon me, sorry.
It's fine, just, that was the introduction, and I believe you just want to note any correspondence that we received since the agenda has been prepared.
None on this particular item.
Okay. So I guess I'm asking for any comments from the public for the first time? Any comments from the public? Second time? And for a third time, any comments from the public? So hearing none, we'll move ahead. And so do we have a motion come forward from council, please, to move ahead with the recommendation? Councillor Peak?
That the council pass the following resolution, that bylaw number 2016-005 amendment of zoning bylaw number
Point of
2000.
order?
Can
No,
you,
sorry.
yeah, pardon me.
I'm sorry,
No,
my-
it's- You're reading the, just the public hearing
Because we
bylaw,
terminate the-
number 216
Oh.
will be terminated.
please,
Public hearing.
pardon me,
Yeah,
that the
sorry.
public hearing for bylaw number 2016-005 be terminated. Sorry, I was out of process.
That's okay. Seconded, please. Councillor Barkle, thank you. All in favor? Carried, none opposed. So we're moving into the second public hearing. And that's for introduction of an OCP amendment on Stoner Street. Mr. Planner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to, an OCP amendment to change the designation of the property at 1109 Stoner Street, which is the newly dedicated park in that area, from low-density residential to parks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll go through the public hearing statement again. Can you read the whole thing again, or just that's your comment?
I
No,
don't think you
we-
have to read that again.
You don't
Okay.
need to.
No, but pardon me, your worship, I did receive 6 letters in support subsequent to the agenda being sent out. They've all been added to council's drop boxes, and they are available for the public if
Okay, thank you.
So they
So
wish.
those were all in support of this?
all 6 were
particular-
in support.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to ask the public for any comment for the first time on this issue. Please, yes. Please state your name and address, please.
Hello, Sharon Mansier from 4416 Williams Avenue. I'm here not representing myself as a resident solely. I'm here because I'm part of the Summerland Environmental Science Group, and we are one of the parties that wrote a letter in support of this. And there's some points that I just wanted to bring out to council that I think are important. The black cottonwood habitat is one of the rarest habitats right now, according to the BC Conservation Data Centre. So I just want to say that the SCSG very firmly supports this motion. To make it the sanctuary level, we also really would appreciate it being at the level of what the Adams Bird Sanctuary Protection is, where it's got a meandering path, no dogs. It is being listed not just for the vegetation, but for other animals as well. And I think that's really important to note that the council is taking such a progressive step. So I just wanted to bring those things to your attention. And if it's important to keep the vegetation near the creek, because the more the vegetation is pulled back from the creek, the less shading there is, the less invertebrates are there, the less the fish are going to be happy. I just think it's a really good decision on the part of council, and I just wanted to let you know that the entire SCSG, which is quite a big group of specialists, biologists, geographers, and others that have joined us, just wants to put our support behind this motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for a second time, anybody else have some comment? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Aldo Clinez, and I'm at 5002 Weldon Avenue. All I'm interested to find out, as the red line goes through the cul-de-sac there, what's between my property and that red line? Is that a park or is it a lot? If it is a park, is it going to be fenced in?
Okay, that question perhaps the planner could,
I'm not exactly sure. Is this the address you're speaking of?
Yes, that's the one,
Yes, this piece of land immediately to the south is a residential lot
right?
between the red line and your property.
Yeah,
The zoning designation will follow the red boundary.
okay, that's for the park.
That's for the park.
Now, between the park and my property, what is that, going to be a lot?
That will be a lot. There could be a house, or there will likely be a house built on that property.
That's that small of a lot?
That is correct.
Well, I guess you're going to put a motorhome on it? Okay, thank you.
and for a third time, is there anybody else who would like to make comment on this bylaw? Okay, hearing none. Council, if you would like to bring that forward, please. Public hearing to be terminated. Councilor Barkle?
Move that council terminate the public hearing for bylaw number 2016-007.
Thank that's
006.
006.
Oh, we're on 6, sorry, there's a 3 today, yeah, okay. We're
Okay,
on 6.
thank you. Seconder, Councillor Booth. All in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried. So we move forward to 4.3, introduction of a proposed zoning amendment, bylaw 21607, regarding Storm Street again. Mr. Planner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a related bylaw amendment. This is to have the zoning bylaw adjusted for the same piece of property to rezone it from RSD2, residential, single detached, to parks and preservation and protection. It's our PP zone for preserving natural habitat.
Thank you. Okay, any comments from the public for the first time? Oh,
Excuse me,
further
Mr. Mayor, those same 6 pieces of correspondence were also in support of this amendment as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, for the first time, any comments from the public? Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. To the mic and your name and address, please.
Good evening. I'm Tony Cottrell. I live at 4811 Croyle Avenue, and our property directly adjoins the sort of quarter circle on the left-hand hand side of the diagram there. Both my wife and I definitely support the reclassification of both these sections to parkland. However, we would certainly like the use of this section to be considered rather differently. As you can see, a large section of that is presently an orchard and is open, and there doesn't appear to be any at this present time any confirmed plan of what's going to happen there. But it's, I guess you first of all need to pass the bylaw before anything gets decided. But we would be reluctant to see that revert to cottonwood, strict cottonwood. As you can see, there is a lot around there, and if it's left to its own devices, that's essentially what will happen. We have written a letter on this and said for our we would consider a sort of a mix of conifers and shrubs in there would be appropriate, but it's certainly something we'd like to discuss with Parks before something gets done there.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comment?
One other
sorry. Are you finished there? No? Go ahead.
One other thing,
Sorry.
I'm still shocked at the acoustics in this room with, a population of old geezers. I find sitting back there, I've got my hearing aids turned up full, and it's really still not doing it for me.
Really?
And this is not exactly the Victoria and Albert Hall in here. It shouldn't be a great deal to get it so you can actually hear what's happening. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Just a comment, Mr. Planner?
Yes, just a point of clarification, there are 2 separate parcels that are subject to this zoning and OCP amendment. The municipal park ends right in this section here. So this portion is dedicated park under the care and control of the municipality. This other section here used to be the bed of Trout Creek, and that is federally owned property. So while it's being designated and zoned as preservation and protection, the municipality has limited ability to do anything on that property as we don't own it.
Thank you. Okay, did I ask for a third time?
No, we've only
Okay.
asked once.
Is there any comment for any queries for a third time, please?
I've only asked once.
Pardon me?
Can we ask questions?
Oh, have I? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
later, when the bylaw comes up.
Thought you'd asked twice.
We can ask staff questions now?
Okay. Okay, for first time, second time, has any more comment from the public? And for a third and last time, is there any further comment from the public? Okay, thank you. And I can hereby call this public hearing closed. Thank you. Well, that's correct. We're on 4.3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're moving ahead now to delegations.
Oh, we have to close
First
that
one.
one.
Pardon me?
To close this one?
No, I can apparently, no. I guess we have to have the, yes,
An official motion. I
official
suppose.
motion. Councillor Peak, thank you.
Yeah, that the public hearing for bylaw number 2016-007 be terminated.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Carlson, thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you. I got one step ahead of myself there. Okay, I declare this public hearing closed. Sorry about that. Okay, we're moving ahead to delegations. 5.1, Melanie Wilson concerning the summary of the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative.
Thank you. My name's Melanie Wilson, and I'm a Master of Public Health student with the University of Victoria, and I've been working with the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative. My practicum is a partnership between UVic, the District of Summerland, and Interior Health, and I'd like to thank all of you for your support with this practicum since your motion back in August to take this on. I think this is a terrific opportunity to collaborate and build partnership between Interior Health, the district, and other community partners. The question about why are we pursuing healthy communities, why is this important? These are some statistics from the Vital Signs 2015 report from the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan-Similkameen that really illustrates some of the health data in Summerland, and all of these statistics were worsening from the 2013 report. The other big reason that we are pursuing healthy communities is where we look at the breakdown of provincial spending, and the BC healthcare system, or as we sometimes call it, the illness care system, is nearly half of the provincial budget. We have these increasing rates of obesity and chronic disease putting increased pressure and demands on other areas of the budget. So increased spending for health and declining amounts for things like education, housing and social development, children and families, and the kinds of areas that ideally could be doing preventative work to diminish the healthcare dollars. We're really looking at the need for a long-term prevention and a culture change around health. We've engineered health in many ways out of our daily lives. We drive to the gym, we text instead of meeting, we eat fast food, and there's 26% of Canadian children that are now obese, and the next generation is expected to have a shorter life expectancy than ours will. We like to say in healthy communities that health begins where we live, work, learn, and play. And we're looking at prevention to stop the trend of increasing poor health and of increasing healthcare spending. And this really takes a long-term commitment and sort of next generation forward-thinking work. The regional context is obviously very complicated, but I've put this in here to illustrate the work that the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative is doing in creating partnerships between the District of Summerland and the Interior Healthy Communities Initiative. There's a little red dotted line there with a hope for Plan H funding, which we came and spoke to Council about last month, and we'll find out in the next couple of days whether we were successful in obtaining that grant. And also to show the range of provincial programs and support and alignment to kind of coordinate the healthy community work to prioritize healthy communities in BC and in Summerland. There's also the link there with the Okanagan-Similkameen Healthy Living Coalition, and Angelique Wood, their coordinator, is here this evening. It's a really important part of the regional context and a sort of unique one in the Okanagan-Similkameen. We have the coalition, which is a sub-regional coalition with a relationship with the RDOS, and Summerland is a constellation member. The coalition provides support and networking. It's also a nonprofit organization, which can be helpful in terms of grants and funding for healthy communities, and a terrific opportunity for resource sharing. An example of a benefit to Summerland is Joanne has connected the recreation department with the folks in Oliver who've had luck getting funding for that outdoor exercise park, and I know that's been a conversation in Summerland whether something similar could be achieved here, and there's an opportunity to share resources and ideas how that funding came through and sort of minimize the work that needs to be done locally around that. Where we're at now, we have the previous council made a partnership agreement with Interior Health, in 2013, and the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative was formed about a year ago. I came on in the fall and have had the good fortune to be working here for the last 7 months. And in the winter, we carried out a healthy community scan and also the Plan H grant application. And the future goals are really to look at the kinds of actions, taking the information from the community scan to create some action and projects moving forward. The scan had a total of 128 responses or participants, and it was an inventory of the existing assets for health in Summerland that will enable us to analyze gaps and priorities for action in the community. This is where we're really doing well, these strengths, and I really want to celebrate the successes in Summerland and hopefully work to maintain them. But we heard regularly about local food production, about terrific diversity of recreation services and programming, about the outdoor environment and the trails, and the breadth of social services available in the community. Some of the opportunities that we heard from the community were about recreation, facility renewal, trail connectivity and sidewalks and bike paths, mental health and wellness, which makes sense in the context of the statistic about 33% of Summerlanders having depression or anxiety. And also lots of comments about the differences between summer and winter food and physical activity. So lots of opportunities there. And we've also been using this feedback to inform and guide next steps, but sharing this with the district. So the recreation department has been given the data about feedback about the facilities and programs, and the planning department has been given the data about the built environment. There were lots of really specific pieces of feedback about sidewalks and bike trails and things like that. Our next steps, we're waiting, like I said, to hear about the Plan H grant, a film and community conversation series that will be carried out through next year if it's funded. Really working on strengthening partnerships with and communication with other communities through the coalition and local community organizations. And future actions and projects will be based on the analysis of the Healthy Community Scan. I have a lot of members of the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative that have joined me here today, so if they could stand up for a minute, I would love that. I want to say thank you so much. This is an amazing volunteer group. And they're doing a lot to advance health and move forward with action in Summerland. The operational request that I have come with is that the District of Summerland support the sustainability of this partnership by adding the liaison role to the Healthy Community Initiative to the job roles of the development planner and the recreation programmer. And I think this is a terrific opportunity to bring feedback from the community engagement to their job roles, and also to support the sustainability of the group and the community health in Summerland, and to provide ongoing support to the partnership with Interior Health. If there are any questions, my contact information is there. And once again, I just want to say thank you so much to Mr. Mayor and to Council and to all of the community of Summerland for really welcoming me and for all of your hard work for health in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Council, would you like to bring that motion forward to receive the report, please? Councillor Booth.
Propose that Council pass the following resolution, that the delegation from the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative be received for information.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Carlson, thank you. All in favor? Carried, received? Any discussion? We should have had a little bit in there. Yeah. Anything like to bring up? Councillor Peak.
I was very pleased to see Melanie and other members of the community come out and do discussions with other organizations in the community, and I found that valuable because it's an outreach as well as an education process. So I'm really pleased to have had you in our community doing this.
Councillor Trainer, yeah.
Melanie requested in her report that we continue to support the development planner and recreation programmer to continue being the liaison. Is that something that we would discuss later, or?
It's not, that's not a count. Job descriptions and job duties are just funneled through me. It's not a council decision. So Melanie and I had talked about it. That's why I think why it says operational request. So it'll be worked out at a staff level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes, did you have? No.
I'll just back up on that.
Okay.
One of the reasons that that's important is there's a lot of commitment on on the committee, but our, two of our staff members were very involved, but at the time it wasn't a formal agreement that they would do it as part of their job role, so it just makes it better to have that direct liaison and understood that it's part of their functions.
I think I'd like to add that, since this council came in, I think we've had a strong focus on healthy communities and our desire to develop trails and so on. And I think part of the advocacy we have for economic development, for example, is to involve cycling and to involve the farms and so on in the area. So we're going to hopefully be promoting through our own concepts of how we would like to see and how the community would like to see Summerland develop. I think we'll all focus around in a sort of holistic manner around healthy living initiatives. And I think, for the most part, I think you'll see that many of the council members here are heavily involved in trying to focus on a lifestyle that is represented by what you've been talking about this evening, Melanie. So thank you very much for your effort and for your time here, and applaud you for all the work and the cooperation you've had from the municipality as well, so and the residents. So thank you very much. Thank you. So did we pass that?
Yes, we did.
Okay, we're moving on to 5.2, Nora Hunt Haft and Local Immigration Partnership.
Mayor and Council, thank you for having me here today. My name is Nora Hunt Haft, and I'm the project coordinator for an initiative called the Local Immigration Partnership. It is led by the South Okanagan Immigrant and Community Services. And the Local Immigration Partnership is really a council of leaders throughout the South Okanagan and Similkameen. There's about 50 people on the council, and it does include, we have had the mayor and council there from this district, as well as from other Penticton, Summerland, Soyuz, Karamia, and Princeton. We have employers at the table. We have Okanagan College, Interior Health, the school districts, First Nations, employers, the chambers, economic developers, so really a large group. And it was formed 2 years ago in 2014. Our first year, we really just put together our strategy, and then in the second year have moved into working groups and projects. But really, as a group, we've been working together to reduce the time it takes to integrate newcomers or new immigrants, both socially and economically, into our region. So that's just a little bit about the Local Immigration Partnership. So out of that work that we've been doing, most recently this year, we did also some research around the economic situation of our region and also of newcomers. Why was this important for us? Well, in our first year, we found out, and with some of our research, that it can take up to 15 years for newcomers to actually integrate into our community. This actually, full integration, it really takes away from an employer's access to a valuable resource of newcomers, which is important in our area where we know that we have many of our business owners now retiring, that there is a shortage of skilled workers, and we know from studies that net immigration must double to meet our labor market demands in British Columbia. There we go. So let's talk jobs. Is a research piece we did, as I said, it's just a snapshot of our current employee conditions in the South Okanagan, and we took a high-level look at also at the skill sets of new and qualifications of new immigrants moving into this area, so that we could do a bit of a comparison. Really, the purpose for us was to collect some baseline data to help us with some of our strategic priorities, one being that we do want to attract and sustain newcomers that meet the opportunities, both the workforce and business opportunities in our region. Sorry. So the approach we took is we did two things. One is that we did a literature review of a number of labor market reports that have been happening in the last few years. So between 2012 and 2015, we looked at existing data. We didn't want to recreate the wheel. And particularly, we pulled out the information relative to the South Okanagan. So we did the literature review, as well as we did our own interviews, online surveys with both employers and newcomers. We came up with 4 key themes came out of the research. One is that the current labor force is not growing fast enough for our employers' needs. New immigrants do provide an important resource for and skills for experienced workers. There are some key barriers to integrate into our regional workforce, and new immigrants and employers both have indicated they want to be part of the solution. Here's just a quote from one of the immigrants we interviewed. I have 2 master's degrees in marketing and an undergraduate in engineering. I've successfully completed online courses for UBC project management, and I'm looking for a marketing business development and general manager position. So just an example, again, of the high skill sets that we're seeing from many new immigrants. Most that we interviewed could speak, read, and write English. They were certainly in the hiring age groups between 26 and 35 and had a college degree or diploma. In fact, 81% had a college degree or diploma. 69, many of the new immigrants that move here already with experience in their work field. And when we looked at what kind of experience they had, we were looking at 8 specific sectors, and they did show experience in 6 out of the 8 sectors that we were looking at. However, we did find it could take 2 to 5 years for new immigrants to find work in their field, and many who do end up working at a lower level than when they moved here. So nurses often end up being care aides, accountants may be just technicians, that kind of things. This quote, I will feel like I belong in the community when I'm working at the same level as when I left my home country. And I don't think that this is totally specific, but certainly what we find is new immigrants want to be working at a level of productivity that they were used to before they left their country. The barriers that they talked about from the new immigrants was speaking English, although the majority of who we talked to did speak, read, and write English. But again, for them, they still find it a barrier because they're always translating in their mind. So one of my coworkers said one day, I used to be funny. So she thinks of herself as funny in her home language because she's witty, but then in English she doesn't have that ability anymore. And she actually says it was something that she missed about herself. So although we might be sitting across the table saying, yeah, your English is great, for them, they still see it as a barrier for themselves. They also have the barrier of having the right skills. Again, you may have been a nurse in Japan, does not mean you can be a nurse in Canada. And transportation to the workplace is a barrier. The employers that we surveyed were from 8 different sectors. Again, these were sectors that were identified for this area through some prior research. The employers, we did find that 66% of them do say that they need higher education, certification, or training, or post-secondary, and that 66% are currently having difficulty attracting staff. In fact, we asked them, not all of them responded, but for those that responded and reaching out how many new numbers they thought they would be hiring, they only think that they'll get about 21% of the new hires from the local workforce. So they're certainly looking outside. They did report that they've had lots of good experiences or success with hiring new immigrants, ranging from a controller to electrical designers to orchard supervisors, educators, and researchers. So lots of good news stories there. They had a longer list of barriers that is listed up here, ranging from shortage of skilled workers, English, shortage of affordable housing, cultural fit, employment for spouses, public transit, Canadian education upgrades, and the process itself can be quite overwhelming for employers. When we asked employers what they thought the skill levels were of new immigrants moving here. Many replied that they didn't know, and those that did reply said that they thought the skill levels were low. So our research shows that the skill levels are high, so perhaps we have a perception gap happening there, and that's something that the working group will be looking at. Again, a high majority wanted, the employers were somewhat or receptive to integrating new immigrants into their workforce. And most new immigrants' employers, again, exhibited a willingness to work together to be part of the solution. We asked them a specific question with regards to an online registry, and 79% thought that they would see a value in that. So then that's another thing that our worker can look at is what are the options for online directories? Are new immigrants using them? Are the employers using them? That kind of things. Some of our other steps are, we've just put together what we call a fast-track community mentoring program. This is to encourage employers, once they hire a new immigrant, to refer them to our office where we will match them with someone so they can, in 30 days, quickly immerse them into everything about the community. And the other thing, we want to continue the conversation with a Welcoming Community Summit that we're going to be hosting at Okanagan College this June. So you will see quite a bit more information about that summit coming across your desk. We got lots of great speakers coming in. And just closing with a couple more quotes. Canada was my dream country. From childhood, I wanted to come and settle here. My dream is fulfilled. And from an employer, new immigrants have big potential to make positive contribution to the region. As a community, we need to make sure they have the opportunity to do that as quickly as possible. So I'd just like to thank you again. It just gives you some information on some of that research we're doing around employment skills. Oh, and I have the full research report here that I will leave with you. And also what we did is we pulled out and created an infographic. We'll pass that around. That gives you a lot of the stats that we were talking about in a graphic manner.
Thank you. Questions, Councillor Boot and then Councillor Holmes?
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation, Nora.
No problem.
I just have one question. There was a statistic that of the available positions, employers feel that only 21% will be filled by the local workforce.
Yes.
Did they give reasons for that? Do you know why they're thinking that that number will be so low?
I don't know that I have specific reasons. What I have heard is that they feel that a lot of the resumes that they're getting are just ones that they've seen before. It's kind of the same, and they're looking for new skill sets. I don't know, honestly, to tell you. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Councillor Holmes?
Thank you. Great presentation. We've all heard stories about immigrant doctors driving a cab in Toronto or whatever because their qualifications aren't recognized here. I was just wondering if you came across much of that in your study, and how big of an issue is that for immigrants in South Okanagan, and what can I guess how does SOICS help with that?
So just a little bit about SOICS. So SOICS is Immigrant and Community Services. We provide a number of services for newcomers that range from what we call settlement services, so helping them with their paperwork, to language lessons, to employment services, to working in the school district, to integrate kids into the school districts. We probably have 1,500 visits a year through our offices. And to answer your question, yes, we definitely do see people with high skill sets that are not recognized in Canada. And it's a very big kind of elephant in the room, I guess you would say. Some of it is driven by associations as well. So it could be the like the nursing association. So it's not all driven by government. So it's a matter of getting people to the table to look at how they make those changes. There have been some associations that have been very active. For instance, the Trucking Association, BC Trucking Association, they actually created a document, a full report that says because they have expectations of having like a shortage of 3,500 truck drivers. So they created a report that shows that If they move here from Jamaica and they were a truck driver there, this is what the skills they would have, this is what would be missing based on us. And so, and they've done that for each country. So there are some associations that are being proactive and some that aren't as yet. Yeah. But it's a challenge, and it's certainly something we see right here in the South Okanagan. I hope I answered your question.
That's good news for our Syrian refugee family, because he was a truck driver back in Syria. So.
Well, I have that report if he wants to see it. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Hearing none, would someone like to bring the recommendation forward? Thank you.
Thank you.
Nora. Councillor Peak, thank you.
That council passed the following resolution, that the delegation of Nora Hunt Haft from the Local Immigration Partnership South Okanagan Immigrant and Community Services be received for information.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Booth. Okay. I'd just like to say, Nora's still here. Yeah, it's been, obviously a big job to look at all this. And I was involved initially myself, but demands just made it too difficult. But I understand, and my own history with my orchard, I was quite involved in some of the new immigrants that came and worked for me. And as their skills increased, of course, they took on more tasks, which was great. But I know when they have these gaps that were Councillor Boot mentioned, hoping that that will change. So I'd like to see things move along.
All those in favor?
All in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried. Thank you. So we're moving to the next one, 5.3, Leslie Versano. How do you pronounce that, Councillor Booth?
Vasanen?
Vasanen?
Vasanen.
Vasanen. Okay, thank you. European refugee crisis. Leslie.
A souvenir from Greece that I brought with me. That's part of my presentation. So I'm a local chocolatier, but I trained years ago as an emergency medical responder and, public speaking. And so just this past January, I went to Greece to work as an EMR on the shores with the refugees coming off the boats from Turkey, and also was in the main camp where all the big NGOs like UNHCR and whatnot were in, and worked in there with the housing, with the refugees from various countries. And at first I was going to do a presentation on just the need for safe passage for these people, because they're forced to go into these dinghies. I'm sure you've seen videos of it, and brought the life jacket based on that. And then since I've been back home, within days after getting back home, the EU passed new resolutions, and they're actually breaking international law. And there's very little to no news on it here, because it's just not on our shores, but actually affects our human rights as well internationally. So so that's what I'm going to do my presentation on, based on this Life Fest, is just to ask Summerland to maybe help step with other communities around the world in a place where these people have no voice. And our community did so well with the Japanese people here years ago. And so I'd like to see that maybe that same spirit carried forward to this next generation of crises. So so I'll just go off my paper. Up till March 20th, Iraqi, Syrians, and Afghan people were allowed to claim either asylum in Greece, so once they got there, apply for relocation in Greece for another EU country, or they could pass through Greece and make their way to countries like Germany, Switzerland, or Sweden, who openly announced that they would have open borders. This is why they were doing the trek. On March 20th, the EU made a deal with Turkey called the one in, one out policy. So every one person sent back to Turkey, who were now in already Greece or somewhere in Europe with no asylum papers, they would relocate person one back to Turkey, or from Turkey, into Europe. So out of Europe into Turkey, out of Turkey into Europe, one for one, was their new deal. And the EU has offered to pay out billions of dollars to facilitate camps and the relocation, deportation of the migrants and refugees. And one of the big problems for this is the legal basis for allowing the EU to return people to Turkey is under international rules, asylum seekers can only be sent back to countries considered safe. Laws as defined by EU's asylum procedure laws. This law defines a safe third country, which would be Turkey's state now, as a state in which asylum seekers' lives, freedoms won't be threatened on the grounds of race, religion, nationality, social background, or political beliefs. And this is from the Geneva Convention, so this is all of our human rights as well, being put into a whole other state because it's not convenient for Europe to have the migrants or refugees there. With documented reports of abuses like false imprisonments, destroying of passports, police brutality, claims of tortures, and many others, Turkey is hardly a safe place for them. I've also witnessed firsthand video of Turkish Coast Guard trying to sink boats filled with people on their way to Greece. NGOs and international organizations like UNHCR, DRC, and other ones that I worked with there have been launching complaints, and Doctors Without Borders all pulled out of these detention centers. So it used to be where we had housing. Now they can imprison them, which is against the law to interfere with the refugees movement, up to 18 months with no charges, just for doing what they're allowed to do legally under these conventions and laws to move to safe places and claim asylum. So now it's just the police and the military running these camps as they were before. Anyway, so now they're all citing complaints and working on laws and cases to put forward to hold accountability for these broken laws. And also, so part of going there also must be no risk to harm to the people in the state where they're sent, as according to the Geneva Convention. Then there's a particular problem with the last point because Turkey does not apply the Geneva Convention to non-Europeans. So all these people from the Middle East actually don't get the luxury of that law. So there's no accountability under that law, which they would have to. So essentially EU is breaking that law because you're not allowed to send somebody to a third party or to a third country if it violates this law, which they are doing. So the EU Directive on Asylum Procedure also says that asylum seeker must be able to argue that the supposed safe third country is actually safe for them. And it'll be up to the Greek authorities to assess any argument along these lines. But another problem is relying on the Greek authorities. Greece has not had a functioning asylum system for over 5 years. In 2011, based on a European Court of Human Rights, said the EU countries should stop returning people to Greece because the deficiencies of the country's asylum system, including inhumane conditions in its reception facilities. So Greece now needs to somehow to build it needs to come up with an asylum system, even though this deal has gone through now, and so these people could be detained until they come up with a system for where they have a right to argue their deportation back to a place like Turkey that does not honor the Geneva Convention. So the supposed hotspots, the asylum processing facilities located in the Aegean Sea, where people can be sent or can be registered and kept for deportation. But the hotspots set up in 2015 are ill-equipped and have so far failed in their mission to register, vet, and distribute asylum seekers amongst different state members. So anyway, so that's the gist of the situation, is that these people are losing their human rights that have been set out after World War II, and because it's not convenient for Europe, because of the numbers or whatever political reason, they're then putting them into a country where they don't have to be accountable, and they're doing so in a country that doesn't recognize the very rights that were set up because of the last time Europe did this to a group of people. So the reason I'm here is to ask the Summerland to please consider what you've heard and team up with other communities around the world who are making a visible stand for human rights and laws and procedures. One way people are showing support is by hanging life vests like the one I found here, and that's most likely counterfeit. 80-something% of these life vests that the people came on would sink them. That's why you have so many deaths in the sea. So I brought one back to Summerland, and hoping that we could perhaps add something like a note on the vest, such as, #human rights, where we can not only show our solidarity for all refugees facing issues of human rights violation, but also our expectations for the EU to do what is required by them, of them by law. So, yeah, that's essentially what it is, was just more or less to see if the city would be interested in some way of showing support, I guess, against one thing and for another.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. But don't go away.
Okay.
Any questions from council? Councillor Holmes.
Thanks, Leslie. I know it's very an emotional thing. I get teared up every time I think about it. I know it's a global movement, posting these life jackets all over the place with a little sign and hashtag safe passage. And I think it's the artist Amway Way, you may have seen.
I met him, yeah.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah.
He kind of started it with all these life jackets on the Berlin Concert House. It was quite a striking image. I'm wondering, so I'd love us to be able to do something like that in this community. I don't know where the best place to locate it, but I guess we can find somewhere. I'm just wondering for the bigger issue, if that's something we could refer to FCM, and that might be the Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Okay.
That might be the best avenue to.
Yeah. I'm
I
just
don't know.
wondering.
Maybe they've been. Maybe they've looked at it already. I don't know.
I was just thinking for our purposes here. I mean, once we receive your report, is there an opportunity, CAO, to express ourselves in any way with a motion to
We could.
exhibit this with the hashtag, etc.?
Well, there's two pieces. I mean, if what council could ask that staff looks into what UBCM and FCM, what initiatives they're taking, so that we could report back to council on those initiatives if there is any, so that you could further that. And
Piggyback on them.
And we could also at the same time bring a report back on what may be an appropriate recommendations for display of the.
Yeah, because I seriously think that we've all been touched by this issue, and some of us have been, as Councillor Holmes has indicated, been very involved, and I think we've all expressed our concerns either privately or publicly with respect to what's going on. So I'd like it to go beyond what I've just indicated to our CAO, but to go beyond just accepting a report, to having staff look at how we may express ourselves.
Sure.
And have them come back to us. Does that sound like a satisfactory way of handling the issue?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. I think that communities have done walks, they've had artists done different displays, and I think it's just more, I think we get, because we're far away, and I'm shocked at how little people don't know about this, and it's a little disappointing because
Well,
it's a huge thing.
I'm generally shocked at the lack of observance of the Geneva Convention with respect to not only this issue, but the basic issues that are existing in the Middle East that prompt the exodus for one thing, and then the issues around the handling of the refugees themselves with respect to Geneva Convention rules. So I get pretty upset about the fact that a good part of our world, so to speak, seems fit to ignore, which are basic humanitarian rights with respect to how the Geneva Convention came about and why it exists.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to have a councillor bring this motion forward to receive your report, first of all. Councillor Holmes, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Peak. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please. Thank you. Motion's carried, and then I'd also like a recommendation at the very least to go to staff, or a motion to move this further for staff to bring a report back to council. So would someone, Councillor Holmes, take what I just said?
Just what you said.
Okay. Seconder, please. Councillor Boot. All in favor? Thank you very much. So staff has just been directed to, as our CAO mentioned, to examine the opportunities to express ourselves as a community.
Sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
So with that, we're moving into item 6 here. This is the opportunity for the public to speak to any of the issues that are highlighted in our agenda. There's 15 minutes of opportunity there if anybody would like to rise and speak to any of those agenda items. So if anybody would like to step up, Mr. Buck, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is John Bubb. My comments this evening arise from my role as president of the Summerland Food Bank and Resource Centre, and they relate to item 11 on tonight's agenda, which is the disposition of the former RCMP lot on the 8709 Jubilee Road. On January the 11th, I made a presentation to Council concerning Summerland's need for low-cost housing. In that presentation, I noted there was a possible business case for a low-cost housing project, provided that the cost of the land could be removed from the equation and the project could be accomplished under the wing of a non-profit society. As a result of the publicity arising from that earlier presentation, I was independently contacted by Cal Michaeljohn, a Penticton architect, and Bob Denisuk, a Summerland builder, both very interested in a project of this type. I also contacted Bob Isaac of the Summerland Credit Union for financial counsel. An initial meeting of this group of professionals generated many positive ideas about how we might proceed, but it remains clear that identifying a specific piece of land had to be the first task, so that development costs can be estimated and a conceptual design appropriate for that piece of land be prepared. Tonight you'll be receiving a report authorized by your development planner, Alex Condor, listing 8 options for redevelopment of the former RCMP lot. Option 8 reads, donate or sell the land at below market value. I propose that this lot would be absolutely perfect for development of a low-cost housing project of the type we have already described. It is large, serviced, flat, and within walking distance of downtown. It is my hope and the hope of our Board of Directors that Council will give serious consideration to making this lot available to us in some way, so that we can proceed with taking our plans to the next step. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to this topic this evening.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak to any item? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council. Rob Robinson, Summerland Fire Department Assistant Chief. I was a late agenda, I think it was 13.1, and just would like to first of all start off by thanking you for last year's support at their curling in Montreal. We finished 3rd. It's disappointing. I'd like to finish 1st, but 3rd's also pretty wonderful in receiving the bronze medal. I just wanted to touch on, just to go over a few things in case you had some questions, but looking for support again of $500 to get us to Truro, Nova Scotia. The fees are all, we have to pay for some rooms and some gifts and things like that. So I just wanted to comment on that if anybody had any questions. I've gone to the chamber and I've got some bags, and Shannon there's getting me some brochures of the Summerland area. And I've talked to Len up at Summerland Suites, and he's getting me some syrups for everybody, all the team players there, so I have something to give to all the team competitors. And so I'll be taking that with me as well too. So I'll just keep it at that. So I'm not sure if I was supposed to go into anything else, or thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else like to speak to any item? Seeing that looks like we're finished, we'll move on to my report for this evening. There have been a few key engagements that I had the privilege of being involved in over the last 2 weeks. I attended the Chamber AGM and carried out the swearing in of the new Chamber Executive. I'd like to give congratulations to the new President, Eric Thompson, Vice President Robert Hacking, and Treasurer Michael Hughes. Council looks forward to a productive ongoing relationship with the Chamber Board and the Executive. I had the privilege of speaking to the KVR AGM, where I addressed the critical nature of the KVR in the community tourism picture and as part of the fabric of the community. I feel strongly that businesses, and in no small measure the KVR, the Chamber, and the District, need to work together to create synergies that will enhance everybody's bottom line in the community. Also, I'd like to thank the community for their participation in our recent open house on the 2016 budget. In addition, Council owes tremendous thanks to CAO Linda Tynan and her staff for a great presentation. I've had quite a bit of experience with presentations of that type. Presentations on economic matters are not easy. It's a tough but critical subject, and staff made it very interesting and interactive. Council will now be able to be addressing the budget again in light of the public session and finalizing our 2016 financial program and tax rates. And lastly, the issue of school closures continues to dominate our residents' minds. Council and residents have made multiple comprehensive representations to the school board. We realize that government has placed the school board in a very difficult position. Our offer to sit down and collaborate with the school district on ways of maintaining our schools is sincerely meant and is still open. A decision to close Trout Creek Elementary negatively affects all families and students and in all schools in Summerland. So with that, that's my report. Thank you. CAO?
I don't have a report today.
No report. CAO. Good. No, not good. I mean, it's okay. Moving forward, item 9, unfinished business. 9.1. Any resolutions brought forward from this morning? None.
No, Your Worship.
No. We have nothing coming forward, so we're moving to 9.2, Summerland to Penticton Lakeshore Pathway Planning Study. CAO?
So you've got the report in the package. The mayor and I attended another meeting last week with RDOS, the City of Penticton, and transportation officials and MLA Ashton. There still is a request that we participate in the planning study, although the province is going to be paying 2/3 of the cost. So the suggestion is that we've split it 3 ways between RDOS, Penticton, and ourselves, the remaining 1/3. It's anticipated that the total cost of the project is $120,000. It's a fairly substantial feasibility study, basically looking at the basic engineering, the route, the obstacles that would incur if it was to go through. And should we participate in this, it doesn't obligate us to participate in any funding of the trail should it be a positive outcome of the feasibility study. I have confirmed with Penticton and RDOS that they are expecting that they'll also be willing to contribute this $13,333. And the province has given us confirmation in writing that if there was any overruns on the study, that the total contribution for the 3 parties is capped at $40,000. So this $13,333 would be the maximum that would be obligated to.
Any questions of our CAO regarding the subject? Councillor Peak.
Those monies would be needed to be put forward this year, and we do have money in our reserve to do this.
That's right, in the Trails Reserve account.
Thank you.
Councillor Traynor.
Is there a timeline for this study?
There is not one at this point in time. During the meeting, Penticton, nobody was really sure if they were going to contribute, so it's not going to go forward unless all the parties contribute. So they've engaged. They haven't engaged. They know the consultant they're going to be using, and they have the terms of reference. It'll just be a matter, as soon as they get all 3 parties' confirmation, they'll start it. And then we have the timelines. From that, once the trigger is pulled for it, then there is a timeline for the study to happen. We have that document.
All right. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, would someone like to bring the motion forward, please? Councillor Peak?
That the council pass the following resolution, that the request from the District of Summerland, District of Summerland participate in a Summerland to Penticton Lakeshore Pathway planning study together with the City of Penticton, the RDOS, and the Ministry of Transportation be approved. And further, that the local government contribution be shared equally with the RDOS and the City of Penticton to a maximum of $13,333.
Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Peak?
I think in light of the discussions that this council has had around active living and trail promotion and the opportunity to bring both health to our community and visitors to our community, that this is a great opportunity to continue that discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I agree with you on that. I also think that maybe we need to be looking at a way to get people up the hill in Summerland as a continuation of all of this, because I know that people like riding on flat ground, but to get from the bottom all the way to the top takes quite an effort. So I think that we should remember there's more stages involved as we move this forward.
Chairlift.
A chairlift, a gondola.
Actually, I'm surprised. I think it would have been the oldest member of council that might have brought that particular point up.
I rode my bike up the hill this morning.
Yeah, you have my sympathies. So, no, it's interesting. This was a good discussion, and I have to commend the provincial government for participating, because there was concern initially about how we might share that $120,000. And I have to say that MLA Ashton, representing the government, came forward quite enthusiastically to take their share to the 2/3, and that we would share the 1/3 equally in order to make sure that this feasibility study moves ahead. So we'll see where that goes with respect to the, as long as this moves ahead, the actual study, then we'll see what happens with the movement in terms of the progression of the trail. My understanding is that it's something that will happen over several budget cycles to complete the trail. So we'll see how our participation goes financially, but it does depend heavily on the province's participation. And so anyway, that's my comment on that. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. Moving forward to correspondence, item 10.1. Is there anything that council would like to bring forward from correspondence items? And correspondent information? Councillor Peak?
I'd just like to congratulate Electromotion Energy on their naming to one of BC's top technology companies. I think that's a great achievement.
Okay, thank you. Councillor, it's 10.2, sorry. I was just going to say, remind the public that in the informational items, there's actually a pretty good description of outstanding council resolutions that are being addressed over various time frames. And also on that's page 73 of our document, and page 74 talks about outstanding tasks that are still on the docket. So those are actually pretty interesting pages to look at. They look kind of detailed, and the print could be bigger, but it's an interesting look at what's happening in the community with respect to what council has decided to move ahead on, and where those tasks are with respect to operations and staff's responses. So those are actually very good items for the public to sort of peruse. So could we have motion come forward, please, to receive the correspondence and information? Councillor Booth, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Barkle, thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. So we're moving forward to item 10.2, commission minutes, committee and commission minutes. Any discussion there? CAO? Nothing? Okay.
Just a minute.
So I'd like someone to bring that forward, please. Recommendation forward. Councillor Carlson, thank you.
As presented.
As presented, seconder, please. Councillor Trainer. Actually, given that it's the bulk of it is around the task force, Councillor Holmes, would you like to make any comment at all? Any part of our discussion?
I was going to say something in my councillor's report, but we're still analyzing the data. The writing team is kind of waiting for the rest of the task force to give them something to actually write. So we had a very productive workshop with Bernard Momer, a professor from UBCO, who helped us a lot in terms of moving forward, and how to present the data and what to do with it. So it's we're in the bite the bullet time, and we're getting down to it. Yeah.
Thank you. We'd like to bring the recommendation forward.
It's been done.
It's been done? Okay, sorry. All in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried, and we're in good shape. Development Services, CAO. Move to the...
We'll take that over to
Ian?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Development Services.
This is regarding the disposition of the former RCMP property at 8709 Jubilee Road. And as I'm sure council's all aware, the most recent proposal to develop that site didn't come to fruition. And so a list of options has been prepared for council's consideration at tonight's meeting, which are in the staff report. And there's 8 of them there. I'm not going to go through them all, but essentially the property could simply be listed for sale either through a real estate agent or through direct marketing. There could be an RFP process, either reconsidering the one we already have or reissuing a new one. We could consider, there's been some unsolicited interest in the property that could be considered. The existing building that's there could be demolished to make the building or the site more sellable. And then we could reevaluate the existing land use or donate or sell the land below market value for some other purpose. So those are all described in the staff report, and I can take questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the planner, please. Councillor Peak.
I just want to clarify that this is a process discussion, so it's what we're going to do, how we're going to do, what we're going to do with the property. Is that my understanding? Is that correct?
It's in that we're not talking about any specific proposals or any negotiating items. We're just talking in general terms of how we would like staff to proceed in determining how, if you want to dispose of it and how.
So it's the principles and how we wish to do
process.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that clarification.
So we're beyond just receiving the report. We're going to be giving a recommendation on one of those 8.
That's council's choice. If staff can't move forward with anything else on that property until we receive direction from council on how to move forward.
On any one of those 8 proposals.
Or any others that you may think of.
Okay. So you've got Councillor Holmes.
I don't really know where it fits into any of these 8, but I think we do have some ideas around the community, and there's been a lot of talk for many years in the community about more affordable housing. I think some of those proposals have come to council before. We've talked about them. I think we have an opportunity here to address affordable housing issue. We have an opportunity here to be innovative, to create a local solution, to do something that's really unique for Summerland, and I think it might be worth while if staff could explore some of those opportunities.
Well, I think what we need tonight is we have a pretty good discussion of each one of the 8 options. And I believe staff has requiring some direction for us to make some choices here. Is that correct? About one of the 8?
One of the 8, but if the direction was, as Councillor Holmes said, that you wanted to explore affordable housing, partnership type of projects, or something like that, and you needed more information before you knew if you wanted to put it up for sale, then we could go off and do more work in that area if you didn't feel that there was enough information on, if that was the direction he was thinking of, innovative projects. You could ask us to do that before putting it up for sale or before putting it out for RFP.
I see. Councillor Carlson and Councillor Peak. Councillor Bouillard.
Just made a quick little list of the things that I think would be important in making this decision of what we might do. The first one would be to reduce the amount of work that is required by our planners in getting it through the long process that continues to go through when you do an RFP. Encourage local developers and builders to have the opportunity to be part of this project if it were to come to fruition, or some project. Create the varied and adaptable housing that we need in Summerland, and to also ensure that once this land has been sold or disposed of, that it's actually developed into something. And I think that's the biggest challenge for me, is that, you know, if you have control of it as a municipality, you see that something will come of it, assuming you can get all of that groundwork laid. But if you don't and you sell it straight off, there's no pressure anymore to actually develop it into something. And I think that that's a bit of a challenge and worth, you know, talking about how do we figure that one out. Or does it matter?
I
We
think
have the money in the bank, does it matter? I don't know.
Well, I think that is something for council to really consider, because when you're because it's a catch-22 in many ways. There's criticism in this community that councils of the past and this council so far has made it difficult to purchase land because of RFP process and of wanting to be too controlling of the situation. There's thought from a certain segment of the population that if you have zoning in place, that you put it up for sale, and if the market allows for it, it'll be developed in a timely manner without a lot of restrictions other than the zoning, and they know what they're facing when they come into it. So there's an argument that that's what encourages development, because it's the market that dictates. The other situation is to control through RFP, and then if they're very serious. But you still, in that particular case, you can't control them building it. You can, if it's actually for sale, it's actually sold, and the title has changed names, you can tell them you must build in this particular manner, and you can't leave a big hole in the, you can have security so that if a project starts, you aren't going to have a big hole in the ground that has happened in other communities. But if they choose, because of their own financial situation, not to build for 3 years or something, then they won't, you can't encumber that. And then the other option of partnerships or other innovative methods. Again, there's options out there that are potentially.
You know, my personal thoughts on that are that we do have an OCP, we do have zoning and so on in place, and in that particular location, I guess, Mr. Planner, it's sort of a pocket neighborhood idea right now. That's the zoning aspect of it?
That's correct.
Okay. So in other words, if the property was sold, for example, and I think just like selling any piece of land, as soon as you put all kinds of restrictions on it, it makes it, you narrow down the market that you're selling to some extent. And I think by, you know, one of the reasons why we put an OCP in place and any zoning that goes along with it is to have people adhere to our desires as a council and community to fit in with what the official community plan actually says. So that, in my mind, should be enough. The next decision in my mind comes about, okay, how do we want to move ahead? Do we sell the property? Do we look at other options for things? As Councillor Holmes just mentioned, there may be all kinds of ways to look at this. I think up until now, or recently anyway, despite our desire, you know, for affordable housing, we also have the idea that, you know, there is a considerable value to the land. So, you know, what do we put to that? Also, there's considerable value to, and we've expressed this, and some of us, a number of times, over the fact that without adequate affordable housing, we have a difficult time attracting a local workforce that can afford to live here and work here at the same time. So, you know, there's a bit of a tug of war there, and I think council needs to look at some of these issues on the 8 that we have in front of us, and make some give some direction from council to staff as to where we may want more information, or whether we want to proceed with one of the proposals in front of us.
And just a note on, we use the word very freely here, affordable housing. But one thing we haven't really discussed is that there's subsidized housing and there's market housing, and there's processes where you donate land, or your RFP insists on affordable housing or development that has affordable housing components to it. So there's a whole lot more discussion that has to go around what we mean in this community when we say affordable housing as well.
Okay, well.
If council ends up wanting to go down the road of affordable housing, there's a lot more discussion that has to happen.
Well, there are some definitions there. The overall national definition of affordable housing is that you don't spend more than 30% of your gross income on housing.
But
but there it goes beyond that with respect to fulfilling, you know, and filling out definitions. But for instance, you can have below market. There's all kinds of different definitions that fall in there. So, yes, Councillor Barkwell.
I read through all the material, and I came here tonight with no preconceived ideas of what we should do, is hoping that somebody would say something that would go, hey, that's a good idea. Or I agree with that, but you know, and I do agree with everything, so it doesn't help me much. But I have a question maybe for our CAO. Is there a way of having our cake and eating it too? Like, the only thing I'm really concerned about is I don't think the people who own this property, which are the taxpayers of Summerland, who are facing tax increases every year and some substantial ones, and really want to give the property away. But is there a way we can get market value and zone it so that, you know, affordable units or smaller affordable units or something are built on it? Is that possible?
Well, right, it's the zoning that dictates right now. The RFP, what we include in the RFP can dictate how, what we're looking for in the development, and Ian can speak further to that. But I think council certainly does need to look at that trade-off on the land and the parts of the land, the fact that there's a $100,000 building that needs to be demolished as part of any plan. And if there's other land inventory that suits the purpose better, because that's a fair question as well. But why don't you speak to that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the staff focus up to this point has been kind of what Councillor Barkwell was speaking of, is having your cake and eating it too. And what we were attempting to do is get what we call market affordable housing into the marketplace, as opposed to a subsidized version. And the RPN zone prohibits or limits the size of individual buildings. It limits them in terms of square footage and floor area, and it doesn't allow for cars at every unit, so that you have the cost of a carport or a garage. And it's a little bit less convenient, which will impact on market price. And so the intent, and I think we were kind of headed in that direction with this latest proposal, was to get to a market affordability. And so far that hasn't worked out too well. But that's what the zoning intends, and that's what the regulations stipulate at the moment.
Councillor Booth.
Well, our Director of Planning Services just answered my question, because I was going to ask if the residential pocket neighborhood zoning meant that the units would be smaller just because of that zoning.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. They have a maximum size of essentially 1,000 square feet, 100 square meters, and they have a height limitation of single story, and they require central parking, so you don't have a garage at every unit, and you don't have to pave so much to get car access to every unit. So there's a lot of pieces of that that would make it more affordable to construct.
And if I could follow up with one other question, how many homes would fit in that 1.2 acre size? Like
Under traditional development, Mr. Mayor, for that site, it would be 15.
50?
15, 1
Oh,
5.
yeah, 15, thank you.
Councillor Carlson.
I know we're not supposed to go here, but I don't think that we should be building single-story residences. I think that we've moved beyond that. 2 or 3 stories high, put some people in them, because, you know, if we want people to live closer to downtown, we can't just continue to build one level, especially if we want families, and that's just my thoughts on that. It's not where we're going right now, I guess.
I guess I just want to jump in real quick and come right back to you. When it came to the pocket neighborhood idea, you know, the zoning that's in place right now, I was under the understanding that the pocket neighborhood, coupled with the request for the way the RFP went out, you started, you know, stipulated sort of central parking and no garage and so on. Wouldn't somebody still be able to apply the thought of pocket neighborhood and still have small, say, townhomes located in that location without looking at, you know, the kind of model that we had in that particular thing? Because it seems to me that the definition pocket neighborhood doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, separated parking entirely. You could have street parking, for example. I've seen some examples up the valley where there's small single-family homes that tend to fit a fair number in a given area, but are more traditional.
The zoning, Mr. Mayor, at the moment suggests that it's a central green space with parking to one side. And the biggest reason for that is the amount of paving required to get a car to every door chews up on that particular site a fairly significant amount of space. So we're trying to limit the amount of paving and maximize the number of residential units, given that there has to be some parking. And the magic number that we came up with so far is the regulations that are currently in the RPN zone.
Okay, thank
Now,
you.
if I may say, the RFP that went out suggested that wasn't the only option. If somebody had a better idea, given the parameters that we were trying to achieve, then we would consider it, and that's pretty much what happened with the last proposal, is it was a unique situation that didn't entirely meet the zoning, but met all the criteria, and that was what we were
I guess
looking
that's
for.
sort of what I'm saying, and I'm looking at how does one twist and turn through those suggestions that you just mentioned and still achieve what we want, but not necessarily the kind of pattern that we saw in the last proposal. Anyway, Councillor Traynor and then Councillor Barkle.
Well, I really like the idea of a pocket neighborhood, and I'm kind of discouraged that, you know, an RFP didn't come forward that actually worked for us. I mean, we did one in, well, not we, but the previous council did one in 2013, and then one was done in 2014, and then one was done this year. So, I mean, a lot of staff time has gone into this, and I'm just thinking that maybe it's time that we leave the RFPs aside for now and focus on something else, either reconsidering the one that was just put forward or investigating more of what Mr. Bubb said, the possibility of doing some kind of affordable housing, or looking at the possibility of just selling it. I mean, the two things that you hear is, well, you want to get enough money for it so that, like what Councillor Barkwell said, you know, we're possibly increasing taxes, so we don't want to be giving away land. But then at the same time, the other thing that we hear in this town is that there's not enough affordable housing. So I don't really have an answer at this point, but I'm thinking we probably shouldn't be doing RFPs anymore for a while, because it just seems like we're not, unfortunately, getting anywhere with that.
Thank you. Councillor Barkle and then Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, Councillor Carlson must have been reading my mind, because when our planner said one story, I started thinking, well, no, I think I agree with her that density is how we can help with the affordability by putting more units on the land. And there's a great big building right beside it, so why not go up? Because it's up, and then across the street, they're quite tall too, 3 or 4 stories, so. Yeah, I'd like to consider plans that had a higher density and more height to them.
I mean, we're talking a rezone at that time. I mean, that's our zoning at this time, but perhaps before council does any, makes any move towards selling it, what you need to do is look at the zoning and if you want to rezone it so that you can then put it for sale or do what you want, then you would go through the process of a rezone, public hearings, and then go from there.
Councillor Holmes and Councillor Booth?
Mr. Planner. Oh, sorry.
Councillor
You were
Holmes
looking-
first.
sorry.
Then
You're
Councillor
looking
Booth,
straight in
then
my
Councillor Paulson. Go ahead.
I'm completely open to a rethink on the zoning. The problem I have of putting out in the open market is that, we're going to end up, somebody's going to buy it for the asking price, and then we just end up with one more empty lot sitting there for a year on end. But I think this community has enough lots in private hands that aren't nothing happening with. So why do we want one more? If that, it's very fine to say, let the market dictate, but it's not Vancouver here, and sometimes the market needs a little push. And if what we'd like to see there isn't what the market would like to see there, then nothing much is going to happen with it. So, and then you'll just end up with somebody owning that property, sitting on it, and I just don't want to see that happen. I just really, and selling, it's not the only option. There's long-term leases as well. We could be a freeholder, of a property, of a development as well. So I think there's other things we should look at, use our imagination a little bit.
Yeah. No. Councillor Booth?
If I might, Mr. Mayor, to the planner?
Yes, go.
Ian, the zoning RPN, that zoning is something that's allowed under the OCP low-density residential intensification?
That's correct.
So if we were to look at changing the zoning, we'd also have to redo we'd have to do an OCP amendment?
That's correct.
And if we were following Councillor Barkos and Councillor Carlson's comments, if we were to build up more, like narrower and up, what OCP amendment would be required for that? Like, what would the designation be?
There's two. We could either do medium density residential, which has a higher density, and that's typically townhouse attached development. Or you could go to high density, which is what you see across the road, which is more of an apartment style, underground parking typically. So either one of those would increase the density significantly.
So with the medium density designation, that would allow for 2 or 3 stories? Say 2 stories?
Yeah. Yes.
And then you could still keep the square footage around the 1,000, 1,500, something like that?
You could. It would be up to none of the zones other than the RPN have a size limitation on a particular unit. So typically townhouses are 2 or 3 story, they have parking, and then they have a living space on the main floor, typically bedrooms upstairs, or sometimes if a 3-story have parking under, living, and then sleeping on top of that. So they're typically individual units that are multi-story themselves, side by side, is a typical townhouse.
And may I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
It's all related. So if you had something that was 2 stories for single family, could you get more than 15 units on there? And would they be more affordable? I guess it's a two-part question.
They may be a bit more. There would have to be a central aisle down the center. And with our setback and green space requirements, you might get 4 or 5 more. Typical townhouse wouldn't be what we would consider to be affordable housing, but it certainly could be done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then Councillor Holmes, then Councillor Carlson. You're good?
Yeah, I'm
Councillor
good.
Carlson?
So,
Then
just a
Councillor-
question about pocket neighborhoods then. Is there a rule somewhere that says in a pocket neighborhood, you can't have multi-story houses? Or is that just our rule?
That's just our rule. Again, trying to keep them small enough that that it would keep the price in a certain range.
Right, so same footprint, but higher, increase the price, but you'd still have just as many houses, and perhaps you would attract different people to those houses because they would have an upstairs with bedrooms. Is that,
Absolutely, or they could be bigger with a secondary suite in there, which would increase the density significantly, so that's a different option, but it's
and
certainly
would that
possible.
require rezoning as well, or just a redefining pocket neighborhood?
Well, technically they're the same thing, whether you're changing the text or changing the map or changing the designation, it's still rezoning. But yes, the answer is it could be. It would require an amendment, but could be done.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Peak.
Yeah, we have talked about density before. I like an opportunity to take it to medium density. But I still would like whether we would be, and I'd like to see a report around that, whether there's the opportunity to still keep it in a more affordable market price. Because that's two of the things. People have said that it's hard to afford housing. We don't have quite enough for entry level, or for workers that don't have professional designation, starter homes, that kind of thing. So those are problems that have been identified by the community. And that's the difference between affordable and the other definition for affordable, which means that you in some ways support affordable housing with the land itself. My feeling throughout the time that we were coming to be councillors was that people wanted to see the opportunity for some money to come back in from this property, as well as creating housing for entry-level homes. So I would like to have the opportunity to look at a report that came forward with a medium density and those kind of requirements around it.
So CAO, looking at this, it sounds to me like we've got a lot of questions about what direction council may wish to go. If I'm reading that correctly, do you feel the same way?
The difficulty is that it's a little bit philosophical, and there's two very good answers. One very good answer is to sell the property, encourage the development. At worst case, you sell the property and you collect ongoing taxes on it, even if it's not developed. You're increasing the tax base, and you're starting to improve our reserves and stabilize our funding, which is something that has been stated as a priority. But one of council's other priorities is to make sure we're looking at affordable housing, and the likelihood, though, is that if you do, depending on the project, is you will minimize what your revenues are back in it. So it's a matter of, perhaps it's a matter of looking back and deciding, first of all, is this the best piece of property for an affordable housing project, a partnership project where you're actually not getting market value for and you need, maybe that's the first discussion, is whether or not you're even interested in doing that for this project. And then, if that's a yes or a no, then moving on to if you decide you do want to market it at market rates, do you do an RFP, and do you do rezoning, or how do you do that? But maybe your fundamental question has to be the first one, of just simply market value or non-market value at this point in time, and because that's the stumbling block right now. If that question was out of the picture, then we would be having a very different conversation on whichever path we're at.
Councillor Barkle.
I think our CEO alluded to this earlier, that if the council as a whole wanted to do something that way, something non-market, is this the best piece of property to do that with? Can we say that without examining all the other properties the district owns that could potentially be used in that affordable housing context. So I think that that decision, if that, you know, those other properties, if that's where council wants to go, we should look at least find out if there's anything else that would be more appropriate. Typically land that isn't in this, well, you know, then you get this, what is appropriate. I have another question. What is affordable housing? Is it $200,000 for a townhouse? I mean, we have to
I think that's
about that.
well, that's the question is, I mean, Mayor Waterman was correct in, you know, there is a definition of affordable housing, but I don't think in the conversations I've had, I think, and Councillor Holmes started it out, there's lots of different options. It's, you know, there's been recently some partnering agreements that have gone on in Penticton or Peachland with the ministry where the land has been donated, but the funds have been provided by the ministry. There's Mr. Bob and his possibilities, and there's all sorts of other, which are perhaps subsidized homes, not just affordable homes. So there's, perhaps we need to go back and provide more idea, come back with a report that provides more of a breakdown of what those different options are, or what, not necessarily options, but what has been done out there in other communities. If, again, if that's an area that council is interested in exploring, maybe you need a little bit more ideas on what has been done.
Yeah, Councillor Carlson, Holmes, Peak. Go ahead, Councillor Carlson.
The good people of Summerland have been paying for the new RCMP building since it was built, and will continue to pay for it for a long time. And I think that, as we all know, there are things that need to be done, and one of the best ways to create that revenue and to bring it in is to sell a piece of land that is of no use to us in its current state. We don't need the people of Summerland paying for 2 RCMP buildings, I don't think. So that's how I'm feeling right now. I know we have a lot of empty land, and I do think we should be moving forward and working with some local groups and trying creating something, but I think that this one, we should move along.
And just so council's aware, since it was in the press that that last one, RFP, fell through, I've been contacted by 3 different proponents who have suggested that they are interested in purchasing the land, and I believe Mr. McIntosh has had conversations as well. So there is interest in that property on a market base as well.
Councillor Holmes and Councillor Peak.
I'd be interested in seeing, as Councillor Barkwell suggested, what else is available to be doing some of these projects that are out there, where they could be located. I think this the former RCMP site is an ideal location for some of these ideas that are around in the community, and rather than having a report on what other communities are doing, I think we should have a report on what is being proposed within our own community, and how we can, these are the people who have the ideas, have the ability, they're putting it all together. I think we should be helping them and facilitating some of these initiatives. So.
Councillor Peak.
Well, I certainly think we need to continue the discussion of housing that people can afford who don't have the same resources. Either they're working at minimum jobs or they're on disability or whatever. And I know that some of the not-for-profit housing have constraints on who gets to be able to do what and how, whether those people will be allowed in those kind of housings. So that in terms of some of the discussion from within our own community, I think there's a real opportunity for us. And as Councillor Barkwell mentioned, I think that we should be looking at other properties as well. When I look at the fact that we need to provide stewardship of our public assets, I feel that there is a need to receive funds for this particular property. And I think that we need to do a request for proposal, because it keeps us in the bailiwick of not entering into direct market negotiation where we're paying a fee to somebody else to handle that. I know it takes time from staff, but I think it's time that's well spent for this community. Even though ourselves and the past council have struggled to be able to find the right proponent, I think there's still an opportunity for us with that.
Well, when I look at the 8 things in front of us here and the thoughts and ideas that have come forward, I'm looking at the 8 and, certainly some of them are, very simple. We can reissue the RFP, as number 3 states. We've had some interest for direct sale, which would not involve any fees or anything like that. It's just a straight on sale because there's already interest in the property. And I guess to the planner, any interest that's been expressed is interest within the zoning that's on that property right now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. Some has been with other densities in mind. Certainly, most of the developers I've spoken to are interested in a more traditional housing form, which is more marketable in their view. And so they would prefer to do something like that rather than the pocket neighborhood, which is kind of untested and a bit risky in some people's minds, so they're less anxious to go in that route.
So they might purchase the land and then seek a rezoning, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Well, I think certainly we could maybe find creative ideas within Summerland, but also to sort of counter Councillor Holmes's comments that there are considerable creative things being done either across North America or around the world that might be considered as very creative for this property. And I think looking at other properties or land that we have, this is definitely a key property that's very close to downtown. The only other one that fits is the Wharton Street area in terms of being that close. There's several others perhaps, but this is a significant size. And so to think that we're going to come up with half a dozen or 15 different properties to consider, I think is probably a reach. Certainly as you move further away from the core, we can come up with other opportunities, but then you're starting to get away from the idea of, the proximity to the core, to services, to et cetera. And I think one of the aspects of the RPN was to create, whatever the affordable aspect means, some more density close to town, because there's a real importance there to create densities that will enhance the traffic for downtown, for retail use, for movement around, exchange of, quote, dollars through the community. And so I'm not sure that, this 8 actually explores everything satisfactorily for me. But I don't know how, does council want to sort of accept this report and then suggest further, the resolution is that we accept this report as for information, which includes everything without making a decision on any one of them.
Well, I
Correct?
was assuming that you were going to come
Yep,
up with
we
a
would come
recommendation.
up with a recommendation.
Right.
Well,
But-
yeah, okay.
So if a councillor wanted to bring one forward, or else you just
Okay.
leave it for information, but.
Yeah. So does anybody have anything specific out of these 8 that they would like to move forward on, or do you want to receive this as information and ask staff to come up with something a little more creative that perhaps meets some of the goals that we've mentioned in terms of affordability and density downtown, et cetera? Councillor Boot.
Through you to the CAO, if we were to receive this report for information, could we have an opportunity to talk more about the 8 options that are here, and perhaps something else might come up? Or or do we just need to get on with this, or?
There's no rush.
I'd love
other
to have
than-
some more discussion time amongst us.
We could schedule a committee of the whole meeting that we, in a little less formal manner, we discuss it a little bit more and we bring things up, that certainly if there's nothing pressing other than the individuals or organizations that have asked to get this property for sale, but a committee of the whole format would perhaps be better for some more interactive conversation.
And
we could
to
bring
include
some.
the planner and others.
We could bring some, we've certainly amongst ourselves talked about options, and when I made a suggestion about what other communities are doing, I meant that as far as legislatively wise, how municipalities may play roles over and above the 2 or 3 that we've heard here, but certainly.
Councillor Barco?
Certainly has been probably one of the best discussions I think we've had as a council about something, you know, can we?
Lucky you.
Yeah, this is as good as it gets. I'd like to hear more, your comment that there's been a few inquiries already, as soon as it was in the paper that the RFP was over. That intrigues me. It gives me some optimism, but I've learned not to get too excited too fast on real estate inquiries. But I'd like to hear maybe more discussion, like Councillor Booth said, and some ideas from the planner and his assessment of the marketability of some higher density and how we would go about that. You know, at a committee of a whole meeting as suggested, perhaps. And that's,
Yeah, it strikes me that if there's, in a matter of days, we've had some interest, so Councillor Holmes' concern about a hole in the ground or a vacant piece of property, you know, being an ongoing reality, I think is probably, I would like to be less cynical and think that perhaps there's potential to move forward.
Being realistic.
Yeah, well, no, realistic is also tinging it with a depressing scenario. But no, I think when you've got, Councillor, when you've got actual interest in the property right now that is unsolicited, then there's potential for some movement. And I think, you know, I'd like personally, I think we've presented a lot of thoughts and concerns, and that are perhaps quite different. We've had the thought of affordable housing. We've had Mr. Bubb's concerns presented to us. And we've also got concerns about our own reserve situation, et cetera, the dollars in the bank, and where we are as a community in that area. So I think I believe we need to sort of receive this right now and then move to a broader, fuller discussion that staff can bring to us.
Just on a note, just, you know, there's some discussion, you know, on these RFPs never coming to fruition, and I think my experience in other municipalities have been that if we get to the point that you decide this particular parcel of land, you want to sell it, the more trust you can put in your zoning, and the more straightforward you can make the sale, the better. If your intent is to sell the property and hope for a development, your best idea is to find someone who will pay market value now and that knows the zoning now, and to sell it. That's assuming you get to that particular point of making that decision, and that you don't decide to go down another road of a partnership. That's fair enough too. But if you decide that side of things too, because it doesn't work often with RFPs, and because sometimes RFP works both directions. You can put an RFP. It's not like a tender where as soon as you submit your tender as the proponent, you're kind of stuck. You're going to be held accountable. So you typically get people that are fishing, and that I shouldn't say typically. You often will get people who are developers who aren't particularly serious. They're looking to see how much wiggle room there is in the negotiations with council, and then you've put all the other ones that seriously put them in aside. So it's not unusual that RFP processes may not be the best. Yeah. If that's your decision to just sell it for the development.
Well, I'd like to think that our OCP and the direction that gives and the zoning that's there is helpful. So, Councillor Peak.
So let's move it forward to a committee of the whole discussion.
Okay, so we need to bring this particular recommendation forward as is perhaps, and then a second one to move ahead to.
Either that or just add it as an add further,
okay.
And further that as
okay.
a committee of the whole meeting be scheduled
okay.
for this discussion.
Okay, would someone like to bring that forward, Councillor Booth?
Proposed council pass the following resolution, that the report Options for sale or redevelopment of municipal-owned property, Lot 1, DL 473, ODYD Plan 18998, located at 8709 Jubilee Road, dated March the 29th, 2016, be received for information, and that a council of the whole meeting be scheduled to discuss this matter further.
Councillor Pete?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. So anything further to that? We've had a pretty good inquisition of our planner.
Wait,
And,
that's only, that's a, you haven't got a seconder yet.
Yes, it is.
Oh, do you? Oh,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually sort of hate leaving things up in the air, because I went through this in great detail and was still at a bit of a loss as to which one I might prefer. But then that, because there's all kinds of thoughts that we've all brought forward to the table over the last several years, and they range the full range from 1 through to 8. So I think we do need to examine this in a discussion that will lead us in a more direct path than what we've done tonight. So all in favor of that motion, please? Thank you. No opposed, the motion carries. So it's not really decisive for the public, but I think it indicates that council is serious about trying to find a route forward that's best for the community. So with that, we'll move to item 12.1, renewals of the Chamber of Commerce and KVR land leases.
Jeremy Denninger can speak to that.
Jeremy, please.
Good evening.
Corporate officer?
So this is just a brief note to council regarding 2 leases that are up for renewal. There are renewal clauses in the existing leases. There are no significant changes. And based on that, due to delegation by law, mayor and corporate officer can renew these leases. But we thought due to the significance of these leases, that is the Chamber of Commerce and Kettle Valley Rail, we thought we should bring it to council's attention in case there was some other direction.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the corporate officer, please? Councillor Booth.
Thank you. Jeremy, could you remind us what the, not the expiry date, the terms are of each of these leases, please?
Yeah, they've both expired actually late last year. The Chamber of Commerce lease can be renewed for a further 5 years and then 5 years again after that.
Okay.
The Kettle Valley Railway Society lease can be renewed once more for 3 more years.
Once more for
Once
3
more,
more
yeah.
years.
And then when those renewals are up, we'd have to start from scratch.
Thank you.
So my one question I would have, what do we receive for those leases?
They're both nominal value, they're just $1.
I see. Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Dollar Canadian.
Oh dear, it's nary. It is in Canadian dollars. I'm sorry, Councillor Holmes. So, Councillor Carlson.
Can I move the motion, or?
Yes, go ahead.
I will move that council pass the following resolution, that the report dated March 29th, 2016 from the Director of Corporate Services regarding renewals of land leases with the Chamber of Commerce and the Kettle Valley Railway be received for information.
Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Pete.
So we received this for information. Where does it put us in terms of negotiation? Do we then offer back to do these leases for the times, it's just received for information?
They're being done because there's a bylaw authorizing the corporate officer to execute with the mayor, the agreements. This is for information.
So this really was just for information,
True.
not for further discussion. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So, all in favor? Thank you. Carries. Thank you very much. And opposed? Okay, we go to 12.2, 216 Bike BC funding application.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, Director of Public Works.
Good evening. Before you is a report looking at the 2016 Bike BC grant, seeking approval for the Trans-Canada Trail upgrade at Fenwick Road. Included in the report is a map showing the location, which is up on the screen here. There's a carryover project from 2015, which looked at the initial section shown in red on there, which just enhanced the trail to a graveled state, consistent width, and dealt with some safety issues at the sharp corner that's shown there, some exposed bedrock, some sightline issues, and regrading of that area. Basically, we went back to the design and looked at a revised design to build on this, and then worked putting that forward for the application for this grant. So what we've added to the design was extending that regrading out to Fenwick Road, which is shown in the orange, and paving that full section, which would be about 270 meters of trail, and then regrading and paving Fenwick Road itself out to Fife. That would establish at minimum a 6-meter wide paved roadway, which could then have a delineated shoulder for bike traffic as well.
Just to back up a little bit, and that is this, we haven't brought forward any options to council yet for the Bicycle BC grant. We had a number of conversations on what possibilities could be considered, but because we're going to be doing the Trails Master Plan as part of the grant, the asset management plan this year, we don't have the master plan where there's costing done. So since this one was already in our plan for this year, it seemed that the obvious one, and it'll free up the funds for other projects.
So, council, any questions of Director of Public Works on this? Councilor Peak?
Not a question. I'd like to put the motion forward. The council passed the following resolution: the submission of a Bike BC funding application for the Trans-Canada Trail upgrade at Fenwick Road be approved.
Seconder, please. Councilor Trainer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Chris?
Question.
Yeah. Oh, you question of,
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Chris, through the mayor here. It said the eligible proposals need to demonstrate that the project is part of an adopted bicycle network plan. So how do we fit in that, for that part?
In the application itself, there's areas to expand on that if you don't have one in place. If it's part of other plans, your transportation master plan, your official community plan, if there's an active plan within the community, it can be addressed around there and explained. And as CAO Tynan said that it's part of the asset management project that's been approved, and developing that cycling and trails network master plan is in the midst. That could be described in the application as well.
So that would probably satisfy them?
I believe
in the
so.
same way that the Dale Meadows documentation that we submitted with the grant application last year was successful. We have enough pieces of information, and all the departments work together that show it is part of the plan.
I was wondering if you could also piggyback it on top of the whole Trans-Canada Trail, since it's access to Trans-Canada Trail, and say it's part of their plan.
And that's exactly what they've done. They've worked and pieced all those pieces
Okay, so
together.
it'll fly. Good.
Yeah.
Councilor Peak?
I really appreciate staff bringing this forward. I think it's a really good opportunity for the community to have a much more enhanced bike and pathway trail for active members of the community to be out there, and for those that may be in wheelchairs and otherwise to have an opportunity to have egress onto this land as well.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilor Holmes?
It would be paved up to the gazebo? Is that, no,
No.
not that far.
No, just up to the access gates there.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's the access gate. The orange part?
At the south end of the red section there is where you would enter back onto a gravel path.
Councilor Trainer?
I mountain biked this section yesterday, and it's really good that we're getting it done, because the red part is really difficult to ride your bike up. And then that hard corner, like, you end up falling off if you don't get off, so it needs to be done, and I think it'll make a huge difference.
That speaks to your skill level, but I usually go the other way, and I find that exit to the trail actually quite exciting. Because that's kind of cool, and now we're eliminating that little bit of excitement that I get on that trail. But going up the other way, yeah, I can see you might have trouble. You might have to go down a gear, Councilor Trainer. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So we've got the first and, we've got a seconder, have we?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, new business. We're looking at the budget meeting and
First, sorry, pardon me, the firefighter.
Firefighters first.
So, as you heard Rob Robinson speaking about at the beginning of this meeting, we have a request that's come forward for the Firefighters Curling Championship. And the request is for $500. If we were doing our grant and aid applications prior to April 7th when this starts, we would be incorporating that into this, but this request, the trip will come and go before we even do our grant and aids. Our policy, as you can see in the policy, for participation in provincial, national, or international championships is a maximum of $500 per team or individual may be granted for a specific need basis for travel assistance to those winning championships in sports, arts, and cultural activities. And from a staff perspective, we certainly recommend this particular award of our grant and aid of $500.
Yep, thank you. Any questions? See, no, it's one that we've done before, and we've enjoyed supporting the firefighters in their quest. I can barely see you there. You know, yeah, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's one that we've always been delighted to participate in and encourage our firefighters to reach for the top, first place, right?
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So now do we need to?
So it would be looking for a motion to approve the request for $500 to the.
Yep, firefighters for their program. Okay, motion to that effect, please. Councillor Barco?
I move that we support the Summerland firefighters with $500 donation for their curling.
May I make a point of clarification? It'll be for the British Columbia Firefighting Curling Association will be who the grant will be made out to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember where the Bonspiel is.
It's in Nova
Truro.
Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Truro.
I got a feeling they got a stacked team and we'll be doing this every year for a long time.
I was going to say, you were supposed to win last year, right?
I know,
Wasn't that
yeah, sorry.
We have to give them it one more time.
You're demonstrating how active a community we are. That's a good thing.
Have a seconder, please. Seconder, Councillor Trainer, thank you very much. Okay, all in favor? Thank you, motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rob.
Send you a report.
Good. Show us the
Come on,
trophy.
have a trophy.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay, the second item is our budget meeting for this Thursday evening, I gather. Councillor Trainer?
Can I turn the heat down in here? It's really hot.
23 degrees. It's pretty warm.
Is that right there on that one?
Yes.
Can you have a look?
Do I just?
Jeremy will go and
Jeremy
do
can
it
have a
for
look at
you.
it.
Everybody has really red faces, so.
So this item came from the Committee of the Whole meeting today, and Council passed a recommendation to hold a special meeting, a special Committee of the Whole meeting on Thursday, March the 31st, to continue budget discussions. The topic of discussion will be the general capital program.
So that's this Thursday evening?
This Thursday evening.
Yep.
7 o'clock.
Okay, someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Burke?
I'll bring that forward as the CAO read.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Peak, thank you very much. All in favor? So you just voted yourselves yet another meeting. Way to go.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, but I'll support you in the discussion. That's all right. I'll do
Yeah, you're
that.
not supposed to smile when you say that, okay? Okay, so that deals with that. Into bylaws, 14.1. Mr. Planner.
This is just the bylaw we spoke, that was the first public hearing, the zoning change for the carriage house regulations.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I will move the following recommendation, that bylaw number 2015-005, amendment of zoning bylaw 2000-450 be read a second and third time.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Holmes, thank you. I'd like a bit of an explanation from our planner.
Well, the carriage house regulations, Your Worship, Mr. Mayor, the change is to increase the size, the maximum size of a carriage house on lots that are greater than 1,000 square meters from 60 square meters, which is 645 square feet, up to 90 square meters, which is 960-something square feet. And the intent is that the smaller lots meet the current regulation and larger lots could build a larger carriage house.
Okay. Now, there was concerns from the APC that they wanted to continue with the existing sort of approach with seeking variances based on different property sizes, et cetera.
They thought the regulation was fine the way it was, and if people wanted to have a larger carriage house, they should go through the variance process so that neighbors would be apprised and that they would have some input as to, and council would have some input as to what the building might look like or where it's located or other issues.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it came up in your report that our experience to date was, I believe, 3 carriage houses where we looked at varying from our existing regs, so to speak.
That's correct.
And this, I could just sort of see an endless amount of variances coming at us with that kind of experience, and that's why you came forward with what we have tonight. What's the experience in other communities? Do they tend to keep to a given size, or are they hit with dozens of variances on their particular situation?
I don't have any information on the variance aspect. I don't believe they have any with respect to size because the maximum size allowed in the building code is 90 square meters.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and you can't vary that. So once you go to 90 square meters, that's pretty much the end of that game.
Okay.
In Summerland, we weren't comfortable going as staff recommending or supporting 90 square meters overall because we have some very small lots, and a 1,000 square foot house could have more people in it and more parking issues and a whole host of other
So
things.
the 60 square meters is specific for which size again? For which
That
ones?
would be everything up to our 1,000 square meter lot, which is all of our RSD1, RSD2, and RSD3. If you want to make a larger lot, like that's the minimum. If you want to make one bigger, then you would be into this
Nice.
position where you could have a larger carriage house.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any further discussion, Councillor Barnwell?
As you sort of brought up there, this brings us closer in step with the rest of the valley, and it seems to be working there, so hopefully it'll work here.
Well, I like the planner's description gives me the understanding of, as we get to the 90 square meters, or at the 90 square meters, then there is no option. That's the code. So then we won't be seeing the variances come at us.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I think it might also encourage people to build carriage houses that were thinking previously that it might not be worth it. So I think it could have some good benefits that way as well.
Councillor Peak?
I also think it'll stimulate the option for other units for livability and people being able to afford to rent a particular place. So I think that's good for the community as well.
Yeah, I think one of the options we have in Summerland is that if you recall, I mean, it's not been that long, although it's now 20 years close on, that we've had a sewer system in town. And all of our lots in the municipality were basically based on septic systems. So we had larger than normal lots that you would have for a sewer system. So there's considerable opportunity for additional housing now that we have the sewer system in place and can allow for more connections. So, okay, I guess we brought that forward.
Moved and seconded.
Pardon me?
It's moved and seconded.
Okay. All in favor, please? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed. Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Planner. And then moving on to 14.2. Mr. Planner?
14.2 is the community plan amendment for the dedicated park down on Nixon/Stoner, which is on the screen. This would designate the property from low-density residential to parks.
Thank you. Questions of the planner, please? Councillor Traynor?
You mentioned that part of it is federal land.
That's correct.
I guess they haven't said what they would do with that property.
I suspect it's nowhere close to their radar as to what they would do with that property.
So, like right now, it's kind of a bit of a mess because they're developing in there. Will there be any plan for it, or do you think that the federal government would care if we did something with it to improve it, or?
Mr. Mayor, the South Okanagan Conservation Program, SOSCP, has put in a grant funding for some money to exactly enhance natural habitat throughout our community. So if they get that grant funding, I suspect one of the properties they'll be looking at is this one, and we could certainly speak to the federal representatives, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind if we were to do something in there, but I suspect that they're not too interested in spending their funding on it.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, related to that, so if that orphan land there is just left there to its own devices, what's going to become of it? How will the wild take over? Do we know?
I suspect it will, and but that's evidenced by some of the folks that spoke today at the public hearing, that there's already cottonwood starting to come through. If it's not maintained in an orchard or some unnatural format, it will return quite quickly back to its natural state, which you can see to the south of that area. This is what its natural state is, and all the way through here. So without any intervention, I suspect it would come back to its natural state. We could certainly enhance and speed that up a bit if we were to get involved.
Councillor Barkle.
Yes, the natural state would be good. I sure hope that if there's any sign of any Siberian elms or tree of heavens or any of these unnatural trees cropping up there, we get on it and get rid of them at the very least. It might not be necessary if the Conservation Society gets their money and do something.
So just one quick question which was brought up by a member of the public. The adjacent lot there on that cul-de-sac bordered by the red line in the cul-de-sac, what is the size of that particular lot?
I believe it's 650 square meters. It's in a very odd configuration because of the federal land there, and they did explore acquiring a piece of that to make a better lot, but the process was too long and onerous, so they didn't pursue it. So it will, we did check, it will fit a house there. It's not going to be your standard typical house, but it will fit a house. It does meet our minimum size requirements.
I see. Okay, thank you. That was my concern that he brought forward earlier. Okay, at what point, if we move ahead at this, do we address the issue around its sort of status as a sanctuary in terms of containing the active, having dogs and so on in that particular area?
Sure. Well, Mr. Mayor, the point, this section of the property that's dedicated to the district, stopping here, the district has full care and control of that part of the property right now.
Okay.
So we have full control over whether we want to fence it or not, whether we want to stipulate no pets or not, whether we want to sign it or not. What we want to call it is completely at council's discretion. So the naming is one thing, and we can bring back a report at a future meeting that suggests it be, for instance, the Woodbridge Nature Preserve or the Woodbridge Bird Sanctuary or Woodbridge Park or any number of different options. That's a separate issue. The naming doesn't control or limit what council can do with the parcel. So the intent with it being zoned, when we get to that bylaws preservation and protection, suggests that it would have very little human attachment or involvement in that property. There could be a trail. The thought was there's a right-of-way here that takes it from the cul-de-sac and maybe a trail somehow to get you onto the dike. But once that has been accomplished, I don't imagine there would be a whole lot of trails or use of that parcel otherwise. The intent is it be preserved.
Okay, I guess my concern is it in the next bylaw, then is there any way we can stipulate the restriction to dog access?
You can. That doesn't have to go with the zoning. That can just be a direction of staff, and we'll just make it so.
Okay. Just like to be aware of what the science group put forward to us, that's all.
Yeah, council has full control over that piece of land. They can do whatever they want, subject to the zoning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would someone like to bring the first motion forward, please? Councillor Peak.
Let's hope I'm reading the right one this time. Recommendation that bylaw number 2016-006, amendment of official community plan bylaw number 2014-002 be read a second and third time.
Seconder, please. Counselor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. The motion passes. None opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 14.3. Mr. Planner, I'm going to explain that a little
This
more.
is the related zoning amendment. The one you just gave third reading to is the OCP that designates that area as park. This next bylaw that you're considering right now will zone it from RSD2 to PP, preservation and protection.
I see. Thank you. Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Holmes?
I move that bylaw number 2016-007, amendment of zoning bylaw number 2000-450 be read a second and third time.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Booth, thank you. So, all in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Unanimously. Okay, on to 14.4. Guess this still resides with the planner. No?
So this is just a bylaw to establish a local sanitary sewer service area along the highway there. Our planner's just trying to bring it up on the map. It's the subdivision that's been preliminarily approved by council. And so one of the requirements of the subdivision is that the housing be attached to the sewer system, but the property wasn't already in the sewer service area. Thus, we've had to go through a process to get it connected to the system.
Okay.
And all the requirements have been met.
Okay.
There it is up on the map.
So how many connections are there going to be there? Is it 26 or something?
21.
21? Okay, thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I will move that council pass the following resolutions. That local sanitary sewer service area, 5815 Highway 97, bylaw number 2016-008, be introduced and read a first and second time by title only. And two, can I do all at once? That sanitary sewer service area, 5815 Highway 97, bylaw number 2016-008 be read a third time.
Thank
For
you.
second and third reading.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Peak? Any further discussion on that?
I have just a
Yeah,
quick,
go ahead.
are we, every time someone wants to be part of the sewer area, will this come to council?
It will come at this point in time. It's part of the issue we have with the way that it's been done originally. So hopefully over time we can get one big service area. So then it's not a typical situation.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
thanks.
It'll be a happy day when we get that sorted out.
But I think it's interesting to note that this is one more step in moving that development forward in Troll Creek, which puts another, did you say 20?
21.
21 units. I noticed, in my wanderings that there's servicing being put in place at this time. So those lots, those 21 lots, will be available to the market, and this is one of those steps that brings it that much closer.
That's correct.
So as soon as they're finished with their service roads and various underground servicing and so on, they'll be ready to move to market. Good. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Council. Okay, we're moving on to council reports. Councilor Trainer.
On March 19th, was 2 Saturdays ago, I think, or one Saturday, the Trout Creek Community Association held its 7th community cleanup, and we had about 30 people there, and we collected a ton of garbage, and Councillor Peak and Councillor Barkwell were also there helping out. It was a really nice day, and it was a great event, and I wanted to thank the district staff for collecting all of the trash that we collected and hauling it off to the dump for us. We do that event twice a year, and I really think it makes a difference down in our community. We get a lot of garbage from off the highway, and it always feels good after to see it cleaned up. I'm still working on the Bike to Work Week committee, and next week you should be able to register. And I attended a school meeting at the Baptist Church last week along with many of the other counselors, as well as the budget presentation last Monday that was done by staff, and it was really great. I appreciated all the effort that they put in, and it was like a show and tell, and you really got to see all different aspects of the district and where the money goes, and I wanted to thank all the residents who came out to that. And finally, right now the Chamber has a campaign going on called Discover Home, where they're encouraging people to go around and take photos of themselves using Summerland services, using the businesses, and you just hashtag it with Discover Home, and if you put your photo on Instagram, you can be entered to win prizes. And it's kind of a cool campaign, just showcasing everything that we have in our town. And if you go to the Chamber's website, you can find out more information. And that's it.
Sort of an excuse to do random selfies is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
absolutely.
Councillor Barkle.
Well, I was at the Chamber of Commerce AGM meeting. We were watching the mayor swearing in. And,
The mayor doesn't.
No, he doesn't, of course.
The Heritage Advisory Commission meeting on the 16th, there was a lot of discussion about the naming of the new park in Trout Creek that we've been discussing, but I can't name because it doesn't have a name yet. And and then, as I said, the Trout Creek cleanup was a lot of fun, actually. And it was a nice day, and I got the exercise that I sadly lack. And then the budget open house, that was good. And I think it was very well received by the public. And as the mayor said, the two-speaker approach of Linda and Lori helped make the budget presentation much more interesting. It went very well, very good. I attended a school board, a meeting with a bunch of parents about school closures on Wednesday the 23rd, and listened to what they would like to do, and attended the meeting of the Museum Society on the 24th, and they are going to be closed for a couple of months coming up shortly while they do some renovations inside, and hopefully their target is to reopen about the middle of June before the summer season, and maybe everybody should go down and have a look once it's up and reconfigured. And then on Sunday, we did a tour of the perpetual slide. Councillor Holmes didn't have to save me from falling in the creek after all. And we had about a dozen people out, including MLA Dan Ashton, a professor from UBCO in Kelowna brought his drone down and flew it around and took images of the slide area, and it'll be put into software and rendered into a 3D image, and hopefully more work and the movement will be mapped. And that's about it for this period.
Thank you. So you were counting on Councillor Holmes rescuing you?
He promised.
He's.
That's why I had to go. That's why I had to go. Somebody would have had to rescue him, right?
Well, if there's a fumble factor in there, you never know. Anyway, Councillor Booth.
I attended a number of meetings that other councillors have already spoken about, so I won't even talk about those. On March the 16th, I attended a webinar here on the Climate Leadership Plan consultation, and that was led by two MLAs in Victoria. So some pretty interesting discussion. March the 18th, I attended the Labour Market Forum, which was held at the Penticton, what's it called? Trade and Convention Center. Lots of people there, so that was really well attended. Opening remarks were made by MLA Ashton, speaking from notes by Minister Bond, who was unable to attend. And I wrote down just a couple of things that came out of that. Mr. Ashton mentioned that through Minister Bond, that the South Okanagan employers anticipate that they will need another 22% of employees by 2020. So that's only 4 years out. 22% is pretty significant. Of those new employees, 26% will be in the sales and services category, 23% will be skilled trades, and those are the two of the highest demands. Management positions are another 12%. He also commented that immigration is very important to the South Okanagan to meet local labor demand, as we heard from Nora's presentation a bit earlier. Lack of affordable housing, we've heard that many times before. And another thing that came up was that there are not adequate jobs for spouses. So even though there may be a position for someone to transfer to from somewhere outside of British Columbia into the Okanagan, there's not necessarily a position for their spouse. That was another thing that was identified as a bit of a barrier. Also, competition from larger and smaller communities for salary and benefits. So that was March 18th. Let's see. March 23rd, I attended the open house about the Arts and Culture Center. Lots of interesting comments and quite a few people in attendance. I think our corporate officer was saying over 60 people. March 24th, attended the Chamber of Commerce board meeting and school closures meeting, of course. And Councillor Barkwell, seeing as how you enjoyed picking up garbage so much, and because I've talked about this before, April the 10th, there is a PUP event at Dale Meadows. PUP standing for Pick Up Poop Party. So picking up after dogs. I was at Dale Meadows today with my dog, and unfortunately there are, well, anyways, there's poop there. And I also wanted to mention that somebody in the community has come forward, I don't know who it is, and has donated $500. They felt that for I think it's a 5-year period each year, $500 to anybody that has a dazzling display of daffodils. So it's called Daffodil Dazzle. And this anonymous person felt that this time of year it's pretty brown and not terribly attractive in Summerland. And so that $500 is going to the person that has the most extravagant display of daffodils starting this year. If you have someone that you'd like to nominate, all you have to do is send their address to Sue Eden, 494-0505, over at Lakeside Realty, I think. I'm not really sure what she works for. It's you plant them in the fall, Councillor Barclay. So that's all I have to say.
Alfred. If only I'd known.
Next year. Next year.
Okay. Councillor Carlson.
Do we have time?
Sorry. Sorry.
Everyone's been working very hard, and you've mentioned all the meetings and conversations we've had over the last couple of weeks. I've had some very good conversations with people about the school closure potential, and I'm really hopeful that tomorrow a positive decision will be made for Summerland. So let's cross our fingers. And I went up to Apex on Friday because I could, and there was so much snow and it was so much fun that I really hope we don't have a drought this year. So let's hope it doesn't melt too fast, and snowpack is above normal right now for where we live, so that's a positive for all of the food that we need to grow and all the fish that need to swim. That's all I have to say.
Was that the day I saw you up at Apex? I think it
Yeah,
might have been, yeah.
it was.
She didn't even run me over with her snowboard. So.
Actually, no, that was last week, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I went up
Sorry.
again this week.
Oh, good, lucky you. I mentioned the Cultural Plan Task Force having Professor Bernard Momer from UBCO gave us a workshop helping us analyze our data and where to go forward. And also, I'd like to thank Councillor Barkwell for inviting us and arranging the tour or the visit of the perpetual slide with Professor Dwayne Tennant of UBCO. And it's really, UBCO has been criticized in the past for just not being able to look beyond Kelowna, that there is other parts of the Okanagan. So it's really encouraging to see these, to us being able to take advantage of that expertise that is available there. I think it's certainly worthwhile. They're very helpful. All the professors there that have helped us in various ways, they've always been very willing with their time, and I think that's a great resource that we could be taking advantage of more. The budget open house was mentioned. I attended that. I also went to the Arts and Cultural Center open house at the old library, and at both those open houses, the attendance was was excellent, I thought, and it was both great jobs for the staff and great ways to engage the public on two pretty important items, I think, for the community. That together with the the school closure, all the work that the community has been doing behind that, it's just great to see people in the community politically involved and taking an interest in what's happening in this community for the better. So I think I take positives away from all of these things. Thanks.
Councillor Peak.
I'll try not to be too redundant because we all attend many of the same things. I'd like to congratulate the Chamber on a very good AGM. It was very well attended, and the marketing that was done on the side was good as well. And compliments to Local for the lovely tidbits they supplied for everyone. I went to the Art Gallery show opening. I had real fun at the Trout Creek cleanup. It was a beautiful day. It was not unlike where I used to come from, where you really get a workout going up and down the ditches, but it was really good fitness and aerobics. So I'll come out again if there's an opportunity for me to be there. I would like to speak to the Cultural Task Force. The workshop that Dr. Bernard Momer put forward, I thought it was very good information regarding the data and how we treat it. And I thought that he had some very good informational items on how architecturally you look at writing your report. So I think that will be valuable for the task force. And I know that we invited some extra people to come out from the museum and the Art Council, and we did get some extra attendance, which was great, from directors within those community associations. The Amy McCroy from the museum was not able to come, and she did send me her regrets because they were doing various contractors on their alterations that they're working on. But she said, I trust the meeting with Dr. Momer was exceptional. I am familiar with his work as I took a position as a research assistant in the Community Culture and Global Studies at UBCO 2 years ago. So she was sorry she couldn't have been there. And Karen from the Arts Council also really enjoys statistical work and was sorry that she hadn't been able to be there as well. I want to commend staff on the Municipal Finance Open House. I thought it was extremely well presented, and I think it's the kind of open house that I've been used to in my municipal work elsewhere, and I think it's a great opportunity to invite the public in. There were some great questions to the staff on the marketing opportunities where they showed their own divisions, and I think that people appreciated the presentation that came out of that. So again, commendations to the staff.
Thank you, Councillor Peak. So, questions from the public or comments? Yes.
Mayor and Council, I wanted to thank you. So Sharon Mancier, 4416 Williams again. As one of the co-chair people of the Support the Summerland Schools meeting, I just wanted to let you know how positive it was to the audience members that came and talked to me that you guys were there. I think some people didn't understand how you are working very hard within the proper limits of what you're permitted to do, and I think that was a bit of a learning curve for the public as well. I think it was a really good opportunity. The feedback we've received was very positive, but I have to say that you guys in a way sort of stole the show, and I think that's important. I think that's really important that community members are coming up to me that have children in all the different levels of school, and also community members that came to that meeting that have no children. And so I think what we've accomplished is what our goal was at that meeting, to have it be a community building event. And I wasn't one of the organizers at the meeting. I was like Laura Neal. We're pulled in because we do public speaking once in a while. But we were a part of the sort of undercurrent of it, but there were some very strong people in our community. So I want to just commend them and also pass on the thank you to you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions from the press? No. John? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please. Councillor Carlson, seconded Councillor Barkle. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.